I'm talking to Martin Killip,
Phillips.
Killips, who's the winner of the adult section of the Mullen Moth. Congratulations! Yay! Who's now $1,000 richer?
No, my wife is.
Good answer. And Martin, the title of your story is
Dolly Incapax.
Dolly Incapax, which is. Would you like to tell us the title and the
Well, Dolly Incapax basically means incapable of or wrong. Basically, it means you're totally innocent,
yeah.
and it's applied in a legal sense to children before the age of 10. It actually varies from country to country, and it's varied over the decades. They changed the age.
Yeah, it's okay in Australia. We lock up kids
Yeah,
younger than 10.
but I think actually, I'm not sure about. I know
Northern Territory.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in Northern Territory they do. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I, as a kid, listened to, and this is a weird thing, is because I googled it when I was writing this to think, why did I remember Dolly Incapax?
Yeah.
And I googled legal programs on BBC Radio because I listened to a lot of radio when I was very young, and
Radio's the best.
and it said there was the law in action, and it kicked off on the 30th of September 1967, 1 week before I decided to shoot my father, because I was still not 10. And it said that if you're under 10, you can do whatever you like as a child, but you will not be found guilty of anything. You cannot be punished. I thought, wow. But my father was so awful to us when we were kids. I mean, literally, I don't want to
But
traumatize
your
it,
story
was,
is about that.
yes, it was about the trauma, and the reason that I decided that I could now shoot my father
Yes.
was because I was under 10, but I only had 4 days left, and then I was going to turn 10. So I thought, I've got to do it now. And he had the shotgun, which he bought it from a hitchhiker, which is weird because they asked for that as being one of the themes in the story. And the trouble was, because it misfired, I couldn't guarantee killing him, and I didn't want to pull the trigger and it go click and him wake up and see me with the shotgun, because then I knew he'd rip it off me and probably shoot me. So
and it probably would work then.
And then it probably would have worked, yeah. So
it's a form of Russian roulette.
yes, so I had to put it back in the cupboard where I'd got it from. But the weirdest thing is I got it out earlier before he went in there, so I planned it all, which is one of these reasons why when the police say, oh, they're not capable of knowing right from wrong, I knew exactly what right and wrong was. But I was under 10, so I was going to get away with it. But
so it was listening to that BBC radio
Law in Action
that gave you the escape hatch, that gave you the escape route to go, I can end this suffering.
Yes.
It's not like you were some kid that suddenly went, oh, I'm going to shoot my dad. No, you had reason because you were trying to survive.
Yeah, I mean, just to emphasize, my father wasn't just bad-tempered and shouted at me now and again. He literally punched me or kicked me or hit me every single day.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And on that day I nearly shot him, he forced me to eat my own vomit. I know it sounds horrendous, but this is true. This is the reason why I was able to think, I'm going to shoot him.
That's right.
This was not a normal, just a father that was grumpy. This was a horrendous human being. I mean, having said all that, he lived to 91, and I made up with him when I was in my late 30s, and I let him see my children grow up. I never let him babysit though.
What an incredible story. That is your lived experience. And what great insight into your thinking as a child, but also now interviewing you, that it's like Viktor Frankl, you forgave your oppressor, you forgave your torturer.
I forgave him actually during his absence. I was sitting at home. I was living in Bolton in a big house. Nat Lofthouse, who was a very famous footballer, owned that house before me.
Yeah.
And I remember I was sitting outside on the lawn in the spring sunshine in the morning, and I was thinking about the fact that surely if you're a parent, you should enjoy the role. And I thought, my father never did. He was almost, he used to say, if it wasn't for you lot, I could be doing this, I could be doing that, I could be doing that. He was always telling us how miserable we all made him. And I thought, surely he's supposed to have got something out of it. He never did. And I felt a bit sorry for him. And I thought, you know what? I missed out on the love and support of a decent father.
Yeah.
But I thought he missed out too on the love of children,
Yes.
because we never gave him anything. We were always frightened to death of him.
Yes.
And I, I thought, you know what? Terrible though he was as a parent, I thought he did the best he could with
Yes.
what he had. He just didn't have much.
Yes.
And that was the premise, really, for me to suddenly go, you know what? I forgive him. And I did. Even without even speaking to him, I just thought, you know what am I hating him for? He did the best he could. He was obviously damaged goods. And so why would I hate him forever and allow it to affect me?
Yeah.
And I felt lighter. I mean, it sounds corny to say it, but I
No.
did.
Yeah.
I felt relieved. And oddly enough, bear in mind, this was in 1990-ish. I hadn't spoken to him since 81, right?
Yeah.
9 years. 2 weeks after having that thought, I didn't even know where he was. I knew he was out in Goa. He had a snake farm in Goa.
No.
This
Couldn't write that shit.
is true. My father, we grew up with,
Go to India.
no, we grew up in England
Yeah.
with reptiles. We had 2 alligators. We had pythons. We had Russell vipers.
You've
we
got
had
more
sand
stories
vipers.
to write, man.
I'm writing a memoir at the moment,
Excellent.
actually. So,
Great.
but this was so he rings me up from Goa.
India.
Yeah, but I didn't know it was him. So he rings me up from India, and I get this phone call. And in England, you never say, "How are you?" unless you know the person. It's not
Right.
like Australia, where
Right.
it's normal. I get this phone call. I pick it up. He says, "Hello, mate. How are you?" I'm thinking, "Who's this?" I thought it was a
Who's this
salesman.
geezer?
I said, "Who is it?" He said, "It's Pete." Pete. I said, "Peter fucking who?" I said. He said, "It's Pete, your dad." And I couldn't stop laughing. So anyway, I had a conversation with him, and it transpired that he was writing a book on Goan reptiles and amphibians,
Of course he was.
and he needed to know how to illustrate the subjects. And now I used to be an illustrator,
Right.
so he said to me, "How do you do all those detailed drawings on these?" So I gave him some tips on how to do it, and I told him, I said, "Look, Peter," I said, you never look properly at what you're drawing. You just draw it. You look at it to start with, and then after that, you're looking down at your drawing, and not looking at the object you're copying." Now, march on 3 or 4 months later. Bear in mind, when I was a kid, because I was so horrendously frightened of him all the time, if we could find something, like I caught a grass snake once when I had been at the golf course caddying, and I took it home because I knew I wasn't going to get beaten because I'd
Oh.
taken him something he likes.
Yeah.
So, and the opening line would always be, "Dad, you'll be pleased with me. Look, I got a grass snake." All right. And he'd go, "Oh, all right." And he'd be distracted from finding fault and punching me. So a few weeks later, after that conversation about drawing, I get a phone call. He said, "It's Pete." So I knew who it was this time. I said, "How are you?" He said, "Martin, you'll be really pleased with me." He said, "I listened to what you said about the drawing, blah, blah, blah." But I was stuck on the first line. I was thinking, my God,
Wow.
talk about full circle.
Full
Yeah.
circle. And that
Mm.
and that was after you'd forgiven him that you
Yeah, I'd already
he
forgiven
was
him.
trying to
So he was telling me how he listened to me about the drawing, and now he could draw. So, but I didn't see him again until I think 2000. I saw him. So I went 19 years without actually seeing him. And
incredible.
when I had he came out for the wedding. And actually, funny enough, at the wedding, I picked him up in 2006 from Sydney, from the airport, and I drove him to the Blue Mountains for the wedding. And he's sitting in the back. And bear in mind, the 410 shotgun is what I nearly killed him with, right? But I didn't kill him with it because it used to misfire.
Yeah.
So he's sitting in the back, and I'm driving, and he's looking very comfortable. And I said, "Peter, are you all right there?" He said, "Oh, yes, mate, yes." I said, "Do you remember the 410 shotgun we used to have?"
Yeah.
He said, "Oh, yeah, yeah." He said, the one that used to misfire." I said, "Yeah." I said, "That's the only reason you're sitting back there." He said, "What do you mean?" So I told him the story. So
No.
he did go a bit quiet.
You fessed up.
I told him, yeah, yeah. I mean, I was probably late 20s before I told anybody that story. I told a girlfriend that story.
Wow. And then
And,
tonight you told
I told, well, whatever
told
number we're in there.
1,000 people that story,
Yeah.
but you wrote it down, and that story
Mm.
about nearly killing your
That,
father.
as far as I can remember, I could bear in mind it's 59 years ago or something.
Yeah.
That is word for word true. every single part of it.
We were all there with you in that room. That was an incredible story and well deserving of the win of the Mullen Moth.
Oh, thank you.
Congratulations. I hope your wife enjoys that $1,000 that you won. Well done.
Thank
Thank you, Mark.